Hey everyone, it's Liz here from the Nail Hub, and today we're going to talk about one of my favorite pieces of equipment, which is an e-file. I love e-filing. It is something that is an advanced piece of equipment, and I will be doing an actual e-filing course here within the Nail Hub TV so that you guys can understand all of the ins and outs about e-filing, how to get started with it, how to learn properly so you don't hurt yourselves or hurt others. But it is one of my favorite things. It makes our lives so much easier as nail technicians and as product users. And it is one of the things I'm very passionate about. And I'm a collector of e-files, bits, all of that stuff. So this is going to be a two-part video. The first part, we're going to go over the actual electric file. And then the second part, we're going to go over nail bits. So let's get into e-files. So what is an electric file and what is it for? Well, an electric file is a specialty piece of equipment that allows us to do filing without having a lot of wear and tear on our bodies. So when we hand file, we have a lot of movement in our wrist, in our elbow, in our arm, and e-filing allows us to take this same capability, make it faster, more efficient, and eliminate a lot of the wear and tear on our hands, our arms, our shoulders, and our bodies as regular nail technicians or product users. So it basically allows us to do this in a much faster, more efficient way. Where do e-files come from? Well, electric files actually come from the dental industry. A lot of our nail industry products and equipment come from the dental industry. If you've taken my level 1 course, I went over the history of nail products, and that is included, that whole entire course is included here within the Nail Hub TV. So if you want to take that course and get some fundamental knowledge about nail products and chemistry and all of that, it's a great place to start. But it was actually a dentist who was the first person credited with using dental acrylic to fix a fingernail. And that is really how nail products evolved to what they are today. That was the first instance of people using product to fix nails. And we've adapted a lot of things from the dental use for the purpose of nails, but a lot of the equipment is extremely similar. So you'll see electric files that look very similar to a dental drill, and dental burrs are very similar to nail bits. They have lots of different styles and types specifically for teeth, and we now have specialty styles just for nails. Dental burrs, nail bits, dental drills, electric files, very, very similar pieces of equipment. And also a lot of the companies that were the founders of the professional nail industry and really helped build the professional industry to what it is today, those companies actually started as dental equipment companies. So it's a very, very cool relationship that we have with the dental industry that a lot of people don't know about. Obviously, it's been adapted and evolved a lot for the purpose of nail care because teeth are very different than nails. But next time you go to the dentist, you can take a look at their dental burrs or their dental drill and realize how similar they are to our nail equipment. Let's talk about the anatomy of an e-file because a lot of people have never learned this and don't understand what the important parts of the e-file are or what they do. So the first part, depending on the style of your e-file, some e-files have a tabletop style brick power controller unit, or they might be portable like mine, where it's more of a battery pack. It really doesn't matter which style. The idea behind either one of those parts of the equipment is that is where the electricity is controlled. So I have my variable control here that allows me to choose the speed that I'm going to use, and this is where all of the power actually comes from. Then I have a cord that comes out and attaches to my handpiece, and my handpiece is where the actual motor is. So inside this handpiece is the motor. This is the part that actually spins my bit. This is actually the most expensive part of the electric file or the e-file. And we also have up in here the lock chuck. The lock chuck is kind of like a claw that comes down and grips onto our nail bit. So if I just grab a nail bit really quick, what the lock chuck does is it tightens down around the bit and holds it in place while also allowing the motor to spin it. And so this is an important part to understand, that lock chuck, we don't want it to get bent or damaged. And we also don't want to get dust or debris down inside of our motor. And so this is something that we need to really take care of, is our handpiece, because this is the part that does all of the work and takes all of the abuse. So before I turn my e-file on, let's talk about how the handpiece actually works. So as I mentioned, I want to make sure there's no dust or debris around the opening of my e-file. So I'm just going to wipe this off real quick. You can use a dust brush or anything like that to keep it nice and clean. But the idea is we don't want to be introducing dust and debris inside, and we don't want to be packing that down by inserting our bits. So you want to make sure that opening is free of dust before you insert any bit. And then once I insert a bit, I can lock that lock chuck. So right here, right now it's unlocked. I'm going to twist this until I feel it click into the locked position. And I can also give it a nice little tug, telling me that that bit is nice and secure inside of my e-file. If you have a shorter bit shank, you can see the difference here between the two lengths. A lot of them are just depending on the actual e-file that it's used for. You can also customize your bit shanks and shorten them down. I like longer because it allows me to actually work on longer nails. But let's say I use a shorter bit shank here. We don't want to basically push our bits all the way down until they touch our lock chuck, because this is going to rub and spin on the opening and wear it down. And we also want to be able to work on the full length of the nail. So if I have this all the way down and I'm trying to work on this area of my nail, you can see that the nail's running into my handpiece. So we want to make sure that we have enough room to actually work across the whole length of the nail without the nail running into the actual handpiece itself. So that's why a lot of the bits that I use have a longer shank, and they naturally stop when I put them all the way in, and then they're the perfect distance from my handpiece to be able to work with them. Most e-files, when you first purchase them, will come with a blank shank like this. This is what you're going to keep in your e-file when it is not in use, and you can lock that down. The idea here is that it keeps dust and debris out of your e-file while it's not being used, and it also keeps that lock chuck in a nice, even and symmetrical position that keeps it from kind of getting distorted. We don't want a lock chuck where like one part of it is tighter than the other. We want it to close evenly around that bit. So having a blank in your e-file at all times when it's not in use is a great idea. We obviously don't want to drop our handpiece as much as possible. It does happen, but you want to make sure that if this ever gets bent, you want to send this in for repair and get it looked at. So maintenance is something that a lot of people don't understand about e-files. I've had so many emails from people over the years where they write to me and they go, hey, my e-file just randomly stopped working and I'm curious why it won't spin anymore. And I ask them, well, when was the last time you got your e-file maintained? And they go, I have never gotten it maintained and I've had it 3 to 5 years. So the idea behind the e-file is that it's a motor. So think about it like your car, where we need to get oil changes. We need to make sure that everything's running smoothly. Your handpiece is very, very similar. You need to get it cleaned out, get the ball bearings replaced, and all of that probably once a year, depending on how frequently you are e-filing. If you're e-filing regularly, I would definitely recommend sending your e-file in once a year for maintenance. If you're doing maybe intermittent nail services on yourself, you can probably go a little bit longer, but eventually that dust and debris is going to wear down your motor and it's going to start to create some problems until eventually the motor might actually seize up, which means it will not be working anymore. I'm going to include some information down below this video as to where you can send in your e-file to get it fixed. This is the same repair place that I use and I've had much success with it. They repair all different kinds of e-files, and they also are able to repair and replace a lot of parts of most popular e-files in case you actually need to get a part replaced. But maintenance is something that you need to commit to when you purchase equipment, especially like an e-file, because we need to make sure that it's in proper working order every time we go to use it. Let's also talk about some do's and don'ts with e-filing. Well, don'ts, definitely try to avoid dropping your handpiece. Also, do not turn on your handpiece and put any power or speed to it unless you have a bit inside that lock chuck. Remember, we don't want our lock chuck to get distorted. We want to actually have it gripping onto a shank of an e-file bit so that it spins evenly and grips evenly. We also don't want to switch from forward to reverse without pausing our e-file. So I'm going to put a bit in here, give it a nice tug just to make sure, And what I mean by that is I don't want to actually run my handpiece unless I have a bit inside. So what I can do now is I can put my e-file into forward and turn it on. As soon as it's on and spinning, I can change the speed as much as I want to. I can go really, really, really slow, really, really, really fast. But I want to make sure that this always has a bit inside when it's spinning. Now, I don't want to switch from forward to reverse while this is spinning because this motor right now is spinning in a certain direction. I don't want to then just all of a sudden switch it. Just like shifting gears in a car, you don't want to go from drive to reverse without stopping the motor first, okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to pause, or certain e-files might have a neutral position, something like that, or you might need to power it off completely in order to get the motor to stop spinning. Then I can switch into reverse and I can then turn my handpiece back on and it will start spinning in the opposite direction, okay? And then once it's spinning, you can change the speed however you want, and then you can shut it off one more time. Now, RPMs is something that's really important to also understand. RPMs stand for rotations per minute. However, similar to when I talk about wattage with nail lamps being a certain metric, but not necessarily the entire metric for how to identify a high quality lamp, same thing goes for RPMs. RPMs only tells me how fast this handpiece can spin a bit, but it doesn't tell me how much torque that handpiece actually has. And torque is a really important factor when choosing an e-file. Torque tells me how fast my e-file can spin while pressure is being applied to the bit. So you might actually notice with some lower quality e-files, if you've ever used one, where it sounds perfect and it's spinning super fast when it's just spinning out in the air. But as soon as you go to actually file a nail and you touch down on product, the motor will slow down and you can even hear the pitch of the motor change. So this is something that I'm going to show you guys when I show you in my next video about nail bits. I'm actually going to show you how we use nail bits on different types of things, what types of bits we use for those different circumstances. And also I'll talk about torque and how we need to think about torque when we are choosing an e-file as well as using an e-file. But torque is something that oftentimes, if you're looking for a great quality e-file that is going to have very high torque, brushless motors are considered the highest quality. Brushless motors are very, very popular now, but they do come with a specific price point. With e-files, you definitely get what you pay for in most circumstances. And if you take care of this piece of equipment, it should last you literally your entire career. So this isn't something where you're going to be buying a new e-file every couple of years. An e-file, a high quality e-file, should last you upwards of 5 to 10 years, if not longer. I know some nail technicians who have had the same e-file for 20 plus years because they take such good care of it. But it's something to think about. So I really love my e-file. After years and years of using lots of different e-files and lots of different styles, I feel like I have identified one that I really truly love. And like I said, I'm going to be developing this one for sale on thenailhub.com shortly. It's actually in production right now. And I've been using this one for over a year as a tester. I just absolutely am a huge fan of it. One of the things that I really love, just to brag about my own design, is that because this actually has a regular USB out as well as the USB-C in for charging it, I can actually power my mini lamp with this same power pack. So I can actually, whenever I'm out and about or wherever I am, I can actually run my mini lamp for curing as well as e-file on the go. I can also charge my cell phone, whatever I want with this battery pack. And it does give me the ability to have nice ability to control the speed. I like the big dial. I love the digital output. And I also really love the straight cord. It doesn't get tangled like the curly Q ones do. And I can also take the cord completely off and I can easily travel and store my handpiece and my e-file. It also comes with a really nifty little stand, which I'm going to take a picture of this and show you guys how I use it. So I do have a stand that I keep it on usually when I'm working on my nail table. But like I said, after years of using all of these different e-files and trying all of these different types, This one for me is the highest quality at the best price point without it being something that's going to break the bank. If you are looking for a beginner e-file and you want something that you're going to be able to learn with without it being a little too aggressive for you, torque is something that can get a little bit out of control for someone who isn't experienced with e-filing. So for me as an experienced e-filer, I need a very high torque machine because I need it to power through a lot of different types of product. But if you're a beginner, you're going to probably want to start with a very low torque, inexpensive e-file so that you don't feel so much pressure about investing so much money up front. So we have a couple of options available for beginners. We have the Attain Cosmetics pen e-file, which I really, really love. This is also an e-file that we developed. Attain Cosmetics is the brand that I created for anyone to be able to purchase product. It's specifically made for DIYers because I wanted people to be able to have access to the same quality product that I like to use without the restrictions from a lot of the manufacturers that we work with. So this little pen e-file is really nice. It is rechargeable. It has forward and reverse modes. It's only one speed, but it works really well. It's a nice 15,000 speed RPM, which can be used for almost anything. And the idea behind this is that it helps you take off your gel polish or work on an overlay as a beginner. It will actually stop spinning if you put too much pressure on it, which prevents you from hurting yourself while you're learning. And I really love this thing for beginners. It's very inexpensive and it's a great place to start. Plus, it's something that you can just toss in with your little tote of product if you're a DIYer and just doing your own nails at home. If you are wanting something that is more of a tabletop machine and is also something that's great to start learning with, the Medicool Turbo File 2 is a great option for people who are just getting started with e-filing. Again, it is a lower quality e-file, not bad, but just a starter e-file. It has lower torque, so it won't be able to keep up with all different types of filing, but in a way that's a good thing for people who are just starting because it'll give you the opportunity to learn how to e-file without using a piece of equipment that's a little too powerful for you to handle. So those are two options I recommend for beginners. And then, like I said, I will also have this guy coming out a little bit later this year. I'm very excited to launch my own e-file because it's something that I'm very passionate about. And I just fell in love with the design that we chose and all of the different features that it has. And I'm very, very excited about that. So I hope this video helped you understand a little bit more about e-files, where they come from, what they're for, what the important pieces of the equipment are, what you need to maintain, and how frequently you need to maintain it. Like I said, I'll put that link and information to the repair center that I like to use here in the United States down below. You can also just Google electric file repair centers around you if you're not within the United States, but it is something to definitely be aware of. It'll make sure that your investment in your e-file does not go to waste. And we will follow up this video with part 2, which is where I'm going to go over actual nail bits, what we use them for, and I'll actually show you some basic applications on my nail. See you guys next time. Bye.